It's Friday, and so it's looking like Donald Trump will not, in fact, as he predicted or lied, is not gonna be arrested this week. But that doesn't mean he's not gonna throw a few more bombs, including what I'm about to read to you, which I believe, without exaggeration, I think, is the most explicit call to violence that I've seen from Donald Trump, a guy who has rarely been shy when it comes to calls for chaos and violence against his political opponents or persecutors. He bleated, "What kind of person can charge another person, in this case, a former president of the United States, who got more votes than any sitting president in history?" But no, Joe Biden is a sitting president, and he got way more votes than you, so that's factually inaccurate. "And leading candidate by far of the Republican Party nomination, with a crime when it is known by all that no crime has been committed, and also known that potential death and destruction in such a false charge could be catastrophic for our country." He goes on, but I'm gonna stop there. He is saying there is potential death and destruction if he is charged in this way. He'll throw in the word false charge. We know that it's not a false charge. I don't know that he necessarily can be successfully prosecuted when it comes to it, but it's definitely not a false charge. They did the hush money payments, that is indisputable. So Brett, I will admit, as I've had to occasionally over the past few years, that even I, a person who pledged years ago to never be fair to Donald Trump, and a person who definitely is plagued by terminal Trump derangement syndrome, initially this sort of just slid past me. Oh, it's him being him again. But this is so much worse than protest, protest, protest. He is threatening the prosecutor, which, by the way, as others have pointed out, is literally a crime in New York, threatening a prosecutor. And this is not the only threat, we're gonna get to more. But this call for death and destruction is definitely not going to be over the line for most Republicans, but how could it not be?
The strange alchemy of Donald Trump's brand is he has been able to really craft this persona where he gets away with saying stuff like this because he's such a ridiculous person that, back when you used to think to yourself of what is a politician like? A politician is someone who is very manicured and careful about everything that they say and trying to make the perfect sentence so they don't get in trouble or alienate anyone whatsoever, and they walk the line, even ridiculously so, where they repeat themselves when they're asked to give a specific answer and they're evading it. They say the same thing. I would love to answer that question, but it is important for us to blah, blah, blah. Donald Trump has, because he is a world wrestling entertainment style persona, he's able to say stuff like this, and folks just are like, I guess there's no crime there. There's no explicit crime, and because of that, he's just talking like these ethereal terms that won't end up getting him in trouble. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, no, I agree. He has this particular aura that makes him immune to the sorts of things that would be big issues for other people. He just does, including things that he's calling for death and destruction.
He's not calling for death and destruction. Don't you see, John? But I think that's a specific way to be careful.
More eyes to roll. Yes,
he's not calling for death and destruction.
Literally calling for it.
Don't you see?
Threatening it.
He's not threatening it. Don't you see, John? He's just making the very clear observation that no one in their right mind would disagree with, that Donald Trump's supporters will commit crimes, will kill people, and destroy things. And he is aware of that. Yeah. He feels no sense of responsibility to avoid that death and destruction. And I will remind you that none of his claims are necessarily true. The idea that he is about to be arrested is not necessarily true. It hasn't played out. He made this whole thing up, don't you see?
We're gonna get to more of that in a little bit when we get to Alvin Bragg. I just want to remind people of some of the other, I'm gonna say threatening language, feel free to disagree. Or imagery, for instance, this is really ambiguous. This can be read on so many levels, this image that Trump bleated out of him holding a baseball bat aiming at Alvin Bragg, the prosecutor that's looking at him right now. I don't remember, what's the mob movie where the guy kills a man with a baseball bat?
Untouchables.
The Untouchables, thank you. So I was gonna say that the earlier implication of chaos and violence, if you were to pursue him, is very much like a mobster. He decided to make that comparison a little bit more direct. I will also remind you that he recently referred to Alvin Bragg as an animal and also as a Soros-backed prosecutor. There's no indication that Soros has provided any direct financial support. But you just have to remember that for the Republicans, the threat of violence, racism, and anti-Semitism go together like pick a thing. I don't know, but he's done a lot of it. And it's had maybe very minor immediate consequences in that when, again, invoking sort of the specter of violence against the government, he's doing this rally in Waco on the, I believe, 30th anniversary of that tragedy. And GOP leaders in Texas are not gonna be going. They say they have prior commitments. So I think, unless they're just being honest, which I doubt, this is the most that we're gonna see in terms of pushback, especially as in recent weeks, it has become increasingly clear that it really does look like it's gonna be Trump again. DeSantis is starting to sputter a little bit before he's even launched. And so this is a guy who's going into the race, I'll say, threatening violence. I don't know, or there's an implication of violence to come.
Yeah, I think that Donald Trump is really wowing all his friends and supporters with this really cool image of him about to hit a guy with a baseball bat. Because Trump's tough. He did play baseball when he was in his younger days. He actually did do athletic things. But as anyone who has seen him recently will say, the only thing he's swinging is a golf club. And in terms of the folks in Waco and beyond in Texas who are saying they have prior commitments, in a prior election cycle, they would cancel everything. They would avoid their going to their kid's Sweet 16 birthday party to get some FaceTime with Donald Trump. And right now we're in the phase of the electoral cycle where they are hoping against hope not to get dragged into this boring, horrible stuff anymore. At worst, and at best, they're like, I'm just gonna wait it out and see if he gets the support from the popular, or he gets the popular support that would force the hand of these play it safe politicians to then eventually have to side with Satan, essentially.
Yeah, I'll remind people, this is what he's saying before he's been arrested. And again, maybe if he even is arrested, which isn't necessarily guaranteed, the entire thing might flame out. It might be a complete disaster. And maybe all of the right-wing dreams of that falling apart then makes like the Fulton County thing less likely, or the impending rape case. Maybe that harms those. There's no reason why it should, but our country is insane, so why not? But that said, if it doesn't go in that direction, and if he is feeling more pressure, then God only knows what he'll be messaging to his followers then. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.